The homies at sonarworks sent us over a product to review, and this has to do with their new sound ID reference software. And this software basically calibrates your entire bedroom studio, and it gets the frequency response of your monitors and your headphones as flat as possible. So it essentially treats your room completely without you having to do much. And in today's video, we're just going to be going over how to set that all up, as well as giving feedback and my honest opinion about the software. Before we get into it though, be sure to leave a like and a comment, and all the links to the label and sonarworks will be in the description. And without further ado, let's get into it. So starting off with the package, they sent me over their calibration microphone that goes with the sound ID reference software, as well as a t-shirt, as you can see. Cool t-shirt. And this is the box with the microphone in, super clean packaging. And as soon as you open it, you get a pamphlet with your serial key in to activate the software, as well as a couple of stickers and the actual microphone itself. And as you can see, it's not a normal looking microphone at all. You shouldn't use it as a normal microphone. This is strictly to be used to measure your room with this software. And you get a little mic stand clip as well. So starting off with the software, as soon as you open it up, you'll have to configure your speakers. And then after that, you can plug in the calibration microphone to your interface. After that, they're going to let you go through a setup checklist, and this is just small stuff like making sure your phantom power is on and all the routing to the microphone is correct. After that, you just check to make sure that you're using the right interface selected, as well as the input signal. Now, the serial key that you got in the box is to just activate the software, but there's another unique ID key on the microphone itself that you're going to have to type in here to activate the microphone. Next, you're going to set up your listening spot, and this is basically just where you're going to sit in the studio just to make sure that your ears line up with the monitors. And before you even get into measuring anything, they give you another couple of steps to take just to make sure that your studio is cleared out and that all the measurements are as accurate as possible. And just before you actually measure your listening spot, it's going to make sure that the input of your mic is correct. It'll just blare out like a tone constantly, and you'll just have to bump up the input gain on your interface for your mic until it reaches the check mark. And while you're doing this, try to be as accurate as possible. They suggest that you use a mic stand actually, but I didn't have that. But just make sure that the microphone is actually at your ear level, because any small inaccuracy will just disrupt the entire reading and then nothing will sound right. Luckily, the setup is very user-friendly and the instructions are super easy to follow, so you guys shouldn't struggle with that. As soon as you got your microphone set up and your listening spot set up, it's going to ask you to calibrate your monitors next. And like I said, it's super easy to follow. There's a bunch of video examples in front of you, but you basically just hold the microphone about like 1 or 2 centimeters away from your monitors. And same with the listening spot, it'll give you a tone until it says you're done. Now it's going to give a pretty accurate measurement of how far your monitors are apart. I would advise to just double check this to be sure. And if you do manually measure the distance, just be sure to change it in the software. And after you set up your monitors and your listening spot, it'll give you another distance reading from your monitors to your listening spot. Now comes the fun part. I'm kidding. This was very tedious. You'll have to position your microphone at 37 different spots in your room. And even though this is a lot of effort, I feel like it's well worth it if you watch till the end. So once again, pretty easy to follow. Now that the software has a listening spot and 2 speakers, it can basically draw out a little room map for you. And there'll be a little circle that pops up every now and then. And you just have to make sure that the end of the microphone is lined up with the center of the circle. And that is everything for the setup. So like I said, I'm in a spare bedroom of a house. There's wooden floors below me and there's a bathroom behind me, and I'm pretty sure on the website they mentioned that this isn't like a quick fix to treat your room. They recommend that you take these measurements in a treated room, but unfortunately I don't have that. But I'm pretty interested to see what the measurements will be in this room. So let's jump back into the software and see what our measurements are. So after doing the measurements, it read a level difference of 2.3 dB in my right speaker and a delay of 0.1 milliseconds in the left speaker. And I watched a couple of people's reviews before I actually recorded this review, and for the most part their right speakers also have a level difference of some sorts. Taken mine, I only watched like 3 reviews, so this could just be completely coincidental, and I'm unfortunately not knowledged up in that way to explain to you guys exactly what this does, but I'm super eager to see what the practical results are going to be. So this is my current frequency response in this room. As you can see, here is my left speaker and my right speaker. Naturally it's going to be all over the place, especially in an untreated room like this. So let's go ahead and save these measurements and then move on to the calibration. So after that, there's a few ways you can actually use this plugin. You can either use it as a desktop app, but this calibrates your entire computer's sound, and the other 2 ways are either through your DAW as a plugin, and the third method is where you export it to an enabled device, which I'm pretty sure you need a preamp for. I don't think you can just use an interface for that. So with that being said, I'm just going to be using the desktop app because I think it's going to be the easiest. So now you can just go ahead and choose your interface. So now that you have your speakers set up and you have your measurements read of your room, you can go ahead and select the calibration profile that you saved earlier, time. And to do this, you just click here and open up an existing profile and then just double click on the one you saved. And as you can see, this is our speaker's frequency response. And as soon as I click enable, it basically applies a massive EQ over your entire frequency response. And below the response curves, you can choose a couple of target modes. Firstly, you obviously have the flat target. Secondly, you have Dolby Atmos, which is basically a combination of software and hardware that pretty established mixing engineers use, and it also requires a massive setup. But for us bedroom producers, you'll probably never have to use this, so don't worry about it. And then lastly, it has a really cool feature called translation check, and it seems that this will just mimic a car speaker or a headphone or laptop speaker. And as a bedroom producer with an untreated room, this is a massive cheat code. Obviously, if you have a car or headphones, you can just check it yourself, but this just makes it a whole lot easier to just check it all in one. So now I'll just be testing out the speakers with a couple of beats of mine, and we'll see how well it does in this horror show of a studio room. I'm really excited to see how this is going to turn out. So I don't know if this is just because I've been used to this studio setup for a minute now, but the difference is insane. I don't exactly know how to explain it, but the best way to describe it is it sounds like my mixing headphones, but in monitors, which is basically like a treated room in an untreated room. Without this calibration, this room just kind of buzzed all over the place. As soon as I drag in a bass or an 808, I just know the mixing is going to be completely out of the window until I put my headphones on at least. But the calibration basically just dumbed down everything in like the best way possible. And I mean, I know this takes a lot of time to set up and actually do, but it's really crazy to me. And I've also been a producer in a bedroom for my whole life, but this is probably the closest you're gonna get from a bedroom to an actual studio. And the biggest thing I could pick up from this plugin is the mixing is like completely different. When I tested out the speakers, I try to go for like bass heavy beats because I know exactly what this room does with those beats. It sounds terrible, but to my surprise, it almost sounded perfect to me. Like the mix just made sense. And there's also another feature where you can calibrate your headphones. So I actually want to try that out here. So it seems like you just type in the brand name of your headphones and then the type of your headphones. So I have these Audio-Technica MX30s. So I got that selected and I'll just say continue. Oh wow. And that's actually pretty crazy because I remember I chose these headphones because they had like the flattest response curve out of all the budget headphones that I could find. And I mean, it's obviously way better than my monitors, but I'm still pretty surprised at how it came out. So I'm just going to be doing the same test with the same beat just to see how this plugin would translate to headphones as well. Okay, so for the headphones, I'm kind of on the fence because I actually do enjoy mixing with these headphones and with its current frequency response. And for some reason, it just makes the mix sound worse, which I get because I mix this beat with a completely different response curve to this one. But if that's the case, the monitors should also be sounding bad, so I'm not too sure. Another thing to take into account is that with the monitor setup, I literally had to stand in 32 different points, 37, I can't even remember. But it's obviously a way bigger setup than just selecting a preset brand and type and then just going off of that. So I wouldn't rely entirely on the software if you have like budget headphones. But if you have a budget room that's untreated and you have a decent set of monitors, I think this software will take you a long way, at least for a producer like myself. I can't exactly tell you guys how this would translate on a vocal mix since I'm not an engineer, but I'm sure it'll do exactly the same job. But for my current setup, this is actually perfect. I can't wait to get to mixing and mastering beats on this, and just like going through my entire hard drive and hearing how my beats sound in this room without the 808s shaking the room up. My final take on this would be it's definitely worth it if you're on a budget. Obviously, getting the software and doing all this setup is going to be way more cost efficient than actually treating your room. And if you're someone that moves around year by year, this is kind of perfect. Once again, a massive shout out to sonarworks for sponsoring this video and sending me out this product to test. And if you guys are interested in this product or any of their other products, we'll have an affiliate link in the description that you guys can use, and that just helps us out a bit when you guys make a purchase on the website. Once again, be sure to leave a like and a comment if you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.